Welcome back to Motion 24, the ultimate destination for untold truths and deep dive revelations into the world of little people, big world. What really happens when the lights fade and the cameras stop rolling? What words are whispered in the stillness, the ones that never make it to air, yet hold the power to change everything? Today, we're peeling back the glossy surface to expose a story that's been festering in the dark. A story of betrayal, manipulation, and heartbreak. Sources suggest a chilling campaign, quietly led by Caryn Chandler, designed to turn the Roloff children against their mother, Amy. This isn't just about farm feuds or TV contracts. This is about loyalty, legacy, and the battle for the soul of a family. What happens when love becomes a weapon, and family turns into the battlefield? We've connected the dots, spoken to insiders, and uncovered shocking new details that will make you question everything you thought you knew. If you believe in truth, in loyalty, in family, then prove it. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell, because this is the episode you've been waiting for. To understand the sheer audacity of this alleged campaign, we must first understand the landscape. The Roloff family, post-divorce, exists in a delicate, often tense balance. Amy has gotten over her 30 years on the farm and is now happily married to Chris Marek. She is starting a new chapter in her life away from farming. Former farm manager and long-term partner Caryn Chandler is still very much a part of Matt's life on the farm. It seems like a blended family dealing with a complicated new reality. A strategic power struggle, according to our sources, has been going on under the surface of this tenuous truce. According to reports, Caryn Chandler has been actively trying to cement her position as the unchallenged matriarch of the Roloff clan, having grown tired of being merely dad's lover. She has long believed that Amy's strong and unwavering connection to her 4 children will stand as the main roadblock to achieving that objective. Caryn would have to poison it from the inside if she couldn't break that relationship. The campaign started off softly, rather than loudly. According to those on the inside, there were a number of carefully planned, confidential, and worried discussions. Caryn started to sow little seeds of doubt in Zach, Jeremy, Molly, and Jacob's thoughts by taking advantage of her trusted position and daily proximity to Matt. Every interaction was a manipulation masterclass, designed to exploit the child's unique traits and weaknesses. It is our belief that Zach was her initial objective. The farm has an innate significance for Zach. This is his family's past, his roots, and the reason he has openly and passionately disliked his father. Allegedly, Caryn capitalized on this exposed nerve. She would have gone to Zach and pretended to be unhappy in a quiet moment, maybe as she watched Lila and Jackson play on the lawn of Matt's new house. "You know, Zach," she could have said, her voice filled with fake anxiety, "I worry so much about your mom. It's wonderful that she's so happy with Chris and her new life, truly. But sometimes, well, it feels like she was so eager to leave the farm behind, she forgot she was leaving a piece of the family behind too. She barely asks about you and Tori and the kids, unless the cameras are right there. It's like this whole part of her life, the part with you at the center, is just a memory she's trying to forget." Take note of the brilliance of this strategy. The tone is one of concern rather than outright hostility. She makes Amy sound sensible and supportive by validating her newfound happiness. However, the poison lies in the subtext. Amy's love for her son and grandkids is merely superficial, and Amy is self-centered and performative. This germ of uncertainty grows for Zach, who has felt unheard and underappreciated during the farm talks. This confirms his deep-seated concerns that his mother's decision to leave the farm was a way for her to leave him as well. Even if he doesn't fully accept it, the seed has been sown. Perhaps he will act more distant and chilly the next time Amy calls, as he may be questioning if her inquiries are sincere or merely for effect. Jeremy followed suit. Intention, legacy, and family values are at the core of the brand that Jeremy and his wife Audrey have worked tirelessly to establish. Jeremy is an ambitious and innovative entrepreneur. Caryn would have approached him quite differently, playing on his business savvy and his disappointment with his past shortcomings. Maybe if they had been having coffee and were talking about a new project for the farm, Caryn would have taken the topic in a different direction. "Jeremy, it's been absolutely amazing to watch you build your life," she would add, her voice brimming with admiration. "You have such a clear vision. It reminds me of that one pumpkin season years ago. Remember how stressed your mom was? Every new idea you or your dad had, she'd find 100 reasons why it wouldn't work. The budget, the liability, the stress. I know she meant well, but that kind of fear can really hold a family back. Honestly, it's probably for the best that she's not involved in the farm's future anymore, for her own mental health, you know? And for the farm to finally grow without that constant brake being pulled." Once again, the skillful manipulation is mind-boggling. She paints Amy's motherly prudence and pragmatic outlook as a negative force that stifles her dreams, rather as a source of responsibility. In her subtle way, she portrays Amy as Jeremy's rival and casts herself as an ally of his goal. A recurrent element in her campaign is her worry for Amy's mental health, which she even turns into a declaration. This changes Jeremy's whole perspective on his life because he has always aspired to grow and develop. His mother's history of reprimanding him for their differences has taken on a new significance. Even though he used to trust his mother's judgment, today he has a fresh, corrosive mistrust. Since Molly was the most reclusive of the Roloff girls, an emotionally charged and personal strategy was required to win her over. Molly, who avoids the limelight of reality TV, is portrayed as the level-headed and reasonable one. A presumption of mutual trust and maturity was necessary for the attack's delivery. Caryn allegedly started to ramp up her effort at this point, shifting from manipulating memories to blatant lying. A crisis was invented as the starting point. Our working hypothesis states that Caryn based her story on a trivial family gathering, maybe a birthday celebration for one of the grandkids. Amy and Chris made an early appearance at a function held at the new house of Matt and Caryn. Caryn would have contacted Molly a few days later, her voice quivering and subdued. "Molly," she said softly, "I don't know who else to talk to about this. You're always so calm, and you see things so clearly. I need your advice. Your mom called me last night, and she was not okay. It was after the party. I think seeing me and your dad so happy in this house, it just broke something in her. She was crying, saying all these confusing things about how I stole her life, how none of this was fair. She sounded, I don't know, unstable. I'm genuinely scared for her. Please, please don't tell her I told you this. It would devastate her. I just feel like she's struggling so much more than she lets on, and I don't know how to help. As far as psychological warfare goes, this is brilliant. A catastrophe that was never there is fabricated by her. She portrays herself as the sympathetic victim, the one Amy attacked for no apparent reason. By praising Molly's insight, she makes Molly feel like a confidant. And the ace in the hole is the secrecy plea. Don't tell her I told you this. This keeps Molly in the dark and prevents her from confronting Amy head-on with the poisonous knowledge. Amy is portrayed as an unstable, jealous ex-wife when it promotes a secret between Molly and Caryn. Now, Molly isn't merely conversing with her mom. She is watching a vulnerable individual for indications of the instability that Caryn mentioned. Jacob, the family's intellectual outcast and prodigal son, has been vocal about his disapproval of the program and how staged their public lives are. To approach him with a typical method would be futile. Business aspirations and family agricultural legacies were no match for Caryn. So she supposedly used his own perspective as a weapon against his mom by appropriating it. If she had wanted to spend time with him, she would have arranged for him to visit Isabel and their son Mateo. She would approach him with the attitude of an outsider, not a stepmother. Perhaps she began by asking Jacob, can I be really honest with you? In an almost secretive tone. I know you see through all the bull. You always have, and I respect it so much. That's why I think all of this must be so hard for you, watching it from the inside, especially with your mom. I see how much she needs the public validation, the fanfare from the show. It's like she's playing a character, the little Mama Roloff. And sometimes I think she forgets who she really is. It must have been so difficult growing up with a mother who was so focused on her public image. I just hope now, with her new life, she can find a way to be happy without needing the whole world to be watching. This kind of manipulation is quite sinister. She pretends to be on the same side as Jacob by joining him in his complaints of the performance. The author presents Amy's lengthy profession and public persona, which supported her family for many years, not as an occupation, but as a fundamental psychological defect, a want for approval. The author implies that Amy prioritizes her quest for fame over her love for her family, despite Jacob's rejection of the limelight. This is a devastating story for him. It reframes his childhood as one of neglect and deceit, validating his own sentiments of isolation while undermining the basis of his bond with his mother. The fallout was gradual, nuanced, but evident once these seeds of mistrust were established. Amy initially saw it as an ethereal distancing. Conversations on the phone with her kids were less meaningful and more robotic. Her inquiries regarding the children would elicit truncated responses from Zach. He would merely remark, "They're fine, Mom," rather than sharing the amusing stories he formerly did. "Are you doing okay?" he would ask her, his accent making it difficult for her to understand. The tone was accusatory rather than inquisitive. For reasons she couldn't fathom, she began to feel as though she was being controlled, treated with extreme caution. Whenever she spoke to Jeremy, he would make sure the subject did not go into any heavy or intimate topics. Whenever she mentioned something related to the farm, he would quickly redirect the conversation. It was as if he were erecting a barrier around their common history, which Caryn had cleverly recast as a period of pessimism and unfulfilled potential. His demeanor was courteous, yet aloof. A careful, formal politeness had replaced the unforced friendliness that had always characterized their connection. Perhaps the most excruciating part was seeing Molly's transformation. Their once comfortable phone conversations, characterized by lighthearted banter, now feature uncomfortable pauses. While listening to Amy's tone for indications of emotional discomfort, Molly appeared to be considering her remarks carefully. As Caryn had warned, Amy could sense her daughter examining her closely, looking for the weaknesses that Caryn had mentioned. At the end of each call, Amy would feel bewildered and hurt, wondering how she could have caused her own daughter to feel so sorry for her. As Amy's anger and despair mounted, she confided in Chris. She would explain, "I don't understand what's happening," while pacing around their kitchen. "It's like they're all in on a secret that I'm not privy to. It feels like I've done something horribly wrong, but no one will tell me what it is. Zach, Jeremy, Molly, it's like there's a sheet of glass between us. I can see them. I can hear them, but I can't reach them. They're my children, Chris. Why are they pulling away from me?" Always there to provide an ear, Chris could only console, but he too felt helpless. As outsiders, they watched as a family dynamic was slowly but surely poisoned against them. Caryn, on the other hand, was quietly pleased as she saw her plan come to fruition. At family gatherings, she would see the tense exchanges. Matt would tell her that the kids have been really anxious about Amy recently. Every instant that the children remained silent in bewilderment, and every expression of anguish on Amy's face was a triumph. Instead of being forceful and demanding, she was strengthening her position as leader by maintaining her composure in the midst of a tempest that she had created. Matt and the kids could always rely on her to provide them with a level head. Amy was being cruelly and gradually pushed to the sidelines as she became the indispensable center of the family. She came close to claiming the matriarch's throne. However, she committed a crucial mistake in her self-assurance, underestimating the strength of the link between four siblings who had weathered every conceivable storm as a unit. A bond that was deep, resilient, and, in the end, unbreakable was her biggest mistake. A rumble was building, and the web of deceit was about to break spectacularly. An error was on the horizon, and with it, a showdown that would alter the Roloff family's trajectory irrevocably. A tenuous truce, sealed with forced grins and carefully selected phrases, crumbled under the weight of expectation. In this case, the pressure that Caryn had been putting on the Roloff family's already fragile relationships was about to burst, and the inverse of every action is also true. A straightforward, candid discussion between two brothers served as the turning point, as is typical in such situations. The scene was the farm, a location that contains a lot of history and sorrow for them. Assisting their dad with a minor fencing project next to the wedding barn, Zach and Jeremy were present on an unusually peaceful afternoon. A heartbreaking soundtrack to the conversation that would change everything was the sound of the children's laughter resonating in the crisp Oregon air as they ran around. For a time, they labored in pleasant silence, the cadence of their job bringing back memories of their youth. Jeremy broke the awkward quiet, his expression betraying the weight of his troubled mind. His words were a simple "hey" as he leaned on a fence post and glanced over for Zach. "Can I ask you something? Have you noticed? I don't know, that Mom seems a little off lately?" Zach paused his activity and used the back of his glove to dab at the perspiration on his brow. A brief moment of recognition flashed across his face as he met his twin's gaze. "Off how?" he inquired, his voice marked by caution. Jeremy waited for the perfect words to come to him. "Just kind of fragile, like she's not really coping with everything as well as she says she is. Caryn mentioned she's really been worried about her, said her mental health seems a bit shaky since she left the farm for good." Zach's hair stood on end. Something about the phrase, that particular pseudo-clinical phrase, triggered an alert in his brain. "Caryn said that? To you? About her mental health?" "Yes," Jeremy said with a nod. "Yeah, she said she thinks Mom resents how well the farm is doing without her, and it's causing her a lot of stress. That she was always the one holding things back because she couldn't handle the pressure." Their conversation lingered on the edge of silence. There was a brief interval during which the sole sounds were those of the wind and the faint, faraway cries of their children. Zach's face became more angular. "That's funny," he said in a low and perilous voice, "because Caryn told me something different. She told me she was worried about Mom because she's so obsessed with her new life that she's forgotten about us. That she only asks about the grandkids when the cameras are on to keep up appearances." The brothers looked at each other as the gravity of their words began to sink in. It was as if two seemingly unrelated jigsaw pieces, each with their own significance, were about to fit together to form a terrifying whole. "Hold on a second," Jeremy mentioned as he drew nearer. "She told you Mom was ignoring us for her new life. She told me Mom was obsessed with us and the farm because she couldn't let go." Zach's thoughts were racing as he tried to make connections. "She told me Mom was selfish. She told you Mom was jealous. She's painting two completely different pictures to two different people. Why would she do that?" Finally, the last catastrophic component was in place. Zach yelled out, "Dude," eyes wide with shock. "What did she tell you about the meltdown?" Jeremy's complexion turned white. "What meltdown?" "The one at Jackson's birthday party a few weeks back, when she supposedly called Caryn crying and saying all this crazy stuff?" "Yes," Zach shouted, his frustration evident in his raised hands. "She told me about that too. She swore me to secrecy, said she didn't want to upset Dad or anyone else, but she was just so concerned about Mom's stability." As his thoughts raced, Jeremy ran his fingers over his hair. "Me too. Word for word. So concerned. She made it sound like I was the only one she trusted enough to tell. She made me promise not to say anything to Mom, that it would just make her spiral. They were taken aback at the extent of the deception and stood there in quiet. It was a well-planned campaign, not a series of casual remarks. They loved their mother so much that Caryn used their affection for her as a weapon to poison their impression of her by feeding them customized lies. Through her insistence on concealment, she had isolated them from one another, manipulating them into her sick game of taking over the family story. Rapid and intense wrath welled up within them. They had fallen for the trap, and even worse, they had allowed it to damage their bond with their mother. Based on a web of well-spun lies, they had been cold, wary, and critical. Molly was the initial person they contacted. Frustrated, they pressed the phone's speaker button. "I am Zach, and this is Jur." "Molly," Zach started. "We need to ask you something important, and we need you to be totally honest. Has Caryn said anything to you recently about Mom?" On the opposite side of the phone, there was silence. Eventually, Molly's voice cracked. "What do you mean? Like what?" And Jeremy dove right in. "Like, has she called you all concerned, telling you that Mom is unstable or having a hard time?" For what felt like an eternity, the phone remained silent. Molly's voice, which was barely audible. "How did you know?" "She called me last week. She told me Mom had a huge meltdown after seeing her and Dad together and called her up crying. She made me promise not to tell anyone. She said she was worried Mom was having some kind of breakdown." Zach claimed with conviction that Mole's story was false. "It never happened. She told us the same story, different details, same lie. She's been playing all of us." The sound of a daughter's sharp little breath caught in the speaker, as if she had been led to distrust her own mother. "Oh my God," Molly exclaimed, her voice betraying her deep pain. "I knew something felt wrong. Every time I talked to Mom, I was looking for something, waiting for her to fall apart, and she just seemed normal. I thought she was just good at hiding it." The brothers proceeded to detail the conflicting tales that Caryn had told them, stories that had been crafted to exploit their unique vulnerabilities. Mild horror gave way to icy rage as each revelation piled on for Molly. Jacob was the next person they contacted. It was anticipated that he would bring a fresh viewpoint. Instead of being shocked or surprised, Jacob's voice just confirmed what he had thought for years, that everything was as it seemed. "Of course she did," Jacob remarked, his voice betraying his skepticism. "This is what I've been talking about forever. It's a game. It's all about controlling the narrative for the show and for the family. She told me that Mom was a phony, that her whole life was just a performance for the cameras. She was trying to align with me, to get me on her side by pretending to hate the same things I do." He stopped talking. "The joke's on her. I don't pick sides, but I do know who my mother is. I'm glad you guys finally see what's been happening." The betrayal bound the four siblings together, even though they lived far apart. They struck a bond. The deceit had to end, and there was a certain way to accomplish it. However, a far more pressing call had to be answered first. After setting up a four-way video conversation, they were able to see their mother's familiar, loving eyes, which had been staring back at them their whole lives, but were now distorted by the hurt and confusion they had brought into them. With a little trembling in his voice, Zach took the lead. "Mom," said he, "we need to talk to you. And first, we need to apologize. All of us. We are so sorry." Amy glanced at her kids, her face changing from bewilderment to intense worry. "Sorry for what? What's wrong?" Each of them relieved themselves of a weight in turn. They spilled the beans to her. They admitted to believing some of Caryn's lies, planting seeds of doubt, and listening to her make-believe stories. Caryn had portrayed her as narcissistic, unstable, jealous, and a fraud, according to what she was told. The worried expressions on Amy's face started to fade as a new, devastating comprehension dawned with every syllable. All of the awkwardness, the distance, the cautious questions, and the guarded conversations suddenly made terrible, agonizing sense. Her sanity remained intact. It wasn't like her kids had suddenly lost interest in her. Somehow, they had been manipulated to work against her. She was overcome with immense relief as tears ran down her face, rather than despair. Countless fragments of the glass barrier that separated them shattered. As she beheld the reflections of her 4 adult children in the screen, she uttered a deeply moved statement, her voice resonating with emotion. "You don't have to apologize to me. You were manipulated by someone you thought you could trust. That's not your fault. The only thing that matters is that you're talking to each other and you're talking to me now. The truth is out." The wounds that Caryn had caused started to mend at that very second. The well was being used to draw the poison. A stronger tie than steel was formed between the siblings as a result of Amy's immediate and unconditional forgiveness and their sincere apologies. In her attempt to divide them, Caryn Chandler had only succeeded in uniting them into an impenetrable front. More specifically, that front was rapidly approaching a head-on collision. They drove to the farm the following evening. Walking up to the new house, which had been Matt's dream residence, they suddenly felt as if they were at a crime scene. As the sun dipped below the horizon, they discovered Matt and Caryn savoring a bottle of wine on the back patio. Seeing all 4 children in one place startled and delighted them, so they glanced up. As Matt's smile broadened, he said, "Hey, what a great surprise! What brings you all out here?" Caryn, ever the gracious hostess, grinned. She asked with a hint of uncertainty, "Can I get anyone a drink?" Her grin wavered as she studied their reactions. All 4 people wore the same expression of glum resolve. There were no pleasantries or grins. Zach volunteered to be the official spokeswoman. "We're not here for a drink, Dad. We're here to talk to Caryn." Matt glanced from Zach to Caryn, who appeared anxious now, and his expression was one of confusion. Matt wanted to know, "What's this all about?" Zach kept staring at Caryn the whole time. His voice was calm and collected as he declared, "Caryn, we know about the lies you've been telling. We also know what you've been doing." A strained and insincere chuckle escaped Caryn's lips. "Lies? Zach, what on earth are you talking about? I would never lie to you kids." Jeremy joined his brother on the platform. "Really? You told Zach that Mom only cares about us when the cameras are on, but you told me she was so obsessed with the farm she couldn't let go. Which one is it, Caryn? Is she a neglectful mother or a jealous ex-wife? You can't have it both ways." Caryn turned pale. Her eyes begged Matt for assistance as she stared at him. "Matt, I don't know what they're talking about. This is crazy." Attempting to step in, Matt appeared completely confused. "Okay, kids, let's all just calm down. I'm sure this is just a big misunderstanding." The next to speak was Molly, whose voice was low but commanding. "It's not a misunderstanding, Dad. Caryn, you called me. You told me Mom had a meltdown and called you crying. You told me she was unstable. You made me promise not to tell anyone because you were so concerned. You told Zach and Jeremy the exact same story." Caryn started to choke. I was worried. Amy, she was having a hard time. I was trying to protect her, and to protect all of you." Jacob, who had been quiet up until this point, burst into a brief, pointed, and comically dry laugh. "Protect us? By feeding us poison? You told me my mom's entire life was fake, that she was just a character for TV. You tried to use my own criticisms of the show against my own mother. You went to each of us separately and fed us a story you thought we would believe. You played on our fears, on our history. You tried to isolate us and turn us against her." Their combined testimony was so heavy it crushed. As Matt saw his 4 children's united, angry expressions, his focus shifted to the terrified, breaking face of the woman he loved. Under his feet, the ground of his universe was shifting. With an almost whispered voice, he inquired, "Caryn, is this true? Did you say these things?" With a growing sense of urgency, she adamantly stated, "They're twisting my words. I was coming from a place of love and concern." With a disappointed expression on his face, Zach shook his head. No, he stated dismissively. A place of concern is calling all of us together and saying, hey, I'm worried about Amy. Let's talk about how we can support her. A place of manipulation is calling us one by one, telling us contradictory lies, and making us promise to keep it a secret. You were trying to protect Mom. You were trying to replace her. You were poisoning the well so we'd only drink from your cup. But it's over. Amidst the ear-splitting stillness of broken trust, the confrontation came to a halt. The most spectacular method conceivable had occurred as a result of Caryn's plan's failure. She intended to break Amy's ties to her children by becoming the unchallenged matriarch. On the contrary, she had shown herself to be a manipulative relative. She had unwittingly shown how devoted the kids were to their mom, and given them something they hadn't had in a long time, a common goal to work toward. She lost all credibility with the kids and maybe even with Matt, who had to look back at his life's last few years through this new terrifying prism. The Roloff children walked away from that house, not as four separate individuals, but as a solid, impenetrable unit. Their bond with their mother, Amy, not just repaired, but reinforced and stronger than it had ever been before. The secret smear campaign was over, the toxic betrayal exposed, and the balance of power in the Roloff family had been forever changed. What do you think of this shocking turn of events? Was Caryn's alleged campaign a calculated power grab or a series of misguided concerns? Will the family ever be able to recover from this deep betrayal? Let us know your explosive theories down in the comments below. More update. Matt Roloff secretly gifted Caryn a home in Arizona, sold it at $545,000 after breakup. Tori Roloff trolled for claiming she's living her Taylor Swift life, so delusional. And LPBW star Amy Roloff hints at marital woes as she snubs husband Chris Marek in business move. Jeremy and Audrey support dad Matt at Roloff Farms for pumpkin season, while Tori and Zach skip visiting him again. I will explain everything. In a number of ways, Matt Roloff, star of Little People, Big World, appears to have formally severed his relationship with his fiancée, Caryn Chandler, due to the former's covert ownership of a house in Arizona. The breakup recently took a real estate turn. He seems to be moving on financially as well as emotionally to make sure he won't run into his ex again. The LPBW star has formally ended the split in the property. After Caryn and Matt parted ways, Matt sold his property in secret and unloaded his house, where she is now residing permanently. Building his ideal home for his future wife took up the most of his attention during their lengthy romance. The reality TV star also gave his ex a property. Was the property truly a gift from Matt? What has he been doing lately? Together, Caryn and Matt hope to create a future. They spent a lot of time dating, and the show highlighted their romance. But when the LPBW stars revealed their split on social media, fans were taken aback. Caryn and Matt declined to discuss any specifics of their breakup. They have been occupied with overcoming the breakup. In order to work at the Roloff property, Caryn first relocated to Oregon. She soon started dating Matt, with whom she spent many years. As a result, the TLC personality doesn't appear prepared to stay in Oregon any longer. According to reports, she relocated permanently to Arizona to live with her parents. In order to better care for her parents, the reality TV star is relocating closer to them, according to the U.S. Sun. Brittany, Chandler's daughter, also made the decision to move in with her mother. Matt Roloff often visited Arizona with his ex-wife, Caryn. The latter's aging parents forced her to travel, but when they traveled, the ex-partners appeared to reside on their own land. A 2,300-square-foot property in Arizona is purportedly owned by Matt. He paid $375,000 for the house in 2018 and sold it in September for $545,000. From the original asking price, the Little People, Big World star sold it for less than $20,000. In addition to a large 2.5-car garage and a closed den, Matt's property had 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. In the listing, he mentioned a large covered patio with a built-in bar and barbecue. The U.S. Sun claims that Caryn and Matt are keen to put their split behind them. The former is relocating to Arizona permanently. Roloff must therefore have made the choice to avoid seeing his ex at any costs. Due to their frequent trips to Arizona, he was the owner of the property. There is no reason for the LPBW star to return. Therefore, it must make sense to sell the property and use the proceeds for other investments. He already disregarded his ex's desire to construct the house of his dreams. It is said that the TLC star's new residence caused a rift with his former partner. The fact that Matt also had a property in Arizona surprises fans. He didn't give the property to his ex-girlfriend. Immediately following the separation, the reality TV star sold it after purchasing it in his own name. Tori Roloff trolled for claiming she's living her Taylor Swift life, so delusional. The Roloffs' idyllic marriage is the subject of Tori's incessant gushing. Then there was the time when she likened herself to Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. The LPBW star also believes she is fulfilling the wishes of the brilliant singer. Their charming chemistry propelled Tori and Zach to the status of reality TV's most beloved pair. Their lovely family life with Jackson, Lila, and Jackson was a hit with viewers. They are unimpressed, nevertheless, by her comparisons of her life to those of the international musician and her fiancé. A lot of people tease Tori because she always makes it seem like her relationship with her spouse is great. She thinks everyone is envious of her perfect existence, and many people think she's completely insane for believing it. The little others, big world actress, in their opinion, is narcissistic and only wants others to constantly compliment her. Have you any thoughts on the matter? In what ways are Tori's admirers trying to humiliate her? The Roloff children's parents, Tori and Zach, enjoy trying out new activities. They would rather not lead a life that is dull and uninteresting. As a result, the LPBW stars planned an RV vacation. Tori and Zach embarked on their new adventure by purchasing a vehicle and trailer. With their 3 children, Jackson, Lila, and Josiah, they were eager to embark on small adventures. Tori posted multiple images of her family preparing for their inaugural journey. The precise destination of their expedition remained a mystery to her. Yet the reality TV star couldn't contain her delight as she prepared meals in the camper van and observed her family's newfound experience. Tori also posted other images of her children at the campground, where they played and rode scooters. When Tori Roloff posts a heartwarming family photo, her admirers love to see it. She has no qualms about flaunting the lovely chemistry she has with Zach Roloff, her husband. As part of a recent Instagram fad, the TLC star posted a touching video of herself and her hubby. In order to brag about her wonderful life, Tori highlighted some of the most heartwarming experiences she had with Stitch and their children. In the clip, she couldn't help but brag about her wonderful family. By the time I finish this, I will have lived Taylor Swift's dream wish list, the LPBW star penned. So someone on Reddit began a thread, and her admirers thought she was faking it. The idea that some traditional spouses are trying to measure themselves against Taylor Swift is ridiculous, according to one admirer. In the eyes of another commenter, Tori and Zach were the epitome of a happy, healthy family. However, the viewers of Little People, Big World think the former shouldn't try to sell them on her idea of an ideal life. Many others found his behavior to be utterly irrational and unbearable. Tori shouldn't even bother to compare herself to Taylor, according to some followers, because the two are completely different. Many of Tori's admirers, meanwhile, thought the singer was merely attempting to convey that she was actually experiencing the life portrayed on her latest album, The Wishlist. As the listener put it, she sings about getting married, having kids, having a basketball hoop in the driveway, way blah blah blah. LPBW star Amy Roloff hints at marital woes as she snubs husband Chris Marek in business move. It is possible that the Little People, Big World actress hinted at the disintegration of her and Chris' relationship. Fans of Amy are aware that the LPBW actress makes a living by cooking, which she loves. Amy owns Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen, LLC, where she sells cookbooks. Her renowned fudge, clothing, and home and lifestyle accessories, and discusses her favorite recipes. She also shares her personal life with TLC's cameras on LPBW. The husband, Chris Marek, was not listed on Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen's annual company report, which she filed a few weeks ago. The most recent annual report for the 7-year-old corporation, filed on December 30, 2023, shows Amy as a member and Lisa Dixon, her business partner and best friend, as a registered agent. Monsters and critics can confirm this. Amy did not include Chris Marek, her husband, as a business colleague in any of the paperwork. Interestingly, Amy did not enter her name as Amy Roloff Marek, which suggests that she is not adopting Chris' last name as her own to identify herself. However, when submitting an amended annual report for another company, Amy Roloff Enterprises, Amy did use the hyphenated name Amy J. Roloff Marek in another document that monsters and critics were able to obtain. The company, which offers services in the areas of speaking, celebrity appearances, author, and other media endeavors such as other reality TV shows, radio, social media, blogging, cooking, other businesses, and podcasts, lists Amy as both a member and a registered agent. Amy and Chris dated for 4 years before getting married in August 2021. LPBW viewers took sides as Amy's divorce from her first husband, Matt Roloff, unfolded, with many accusing Matt of adultery. Viewers of LPBW started denouncing Caryn Chandler as a cheater and a gold digger after Amy implied that Matt had cheated on her with their farm manager and his partner, Caryn Chandler. Even in the LPBW episode, She Must Be a Gold Digger from season 22, Caryn talked about the criticism she had received. Though their relationships with Caryn and Chris are still evident on LPBW, Amy and Matt have already moved on. And we may never know what went on behind closed doors. At the end of season 22, Amy and Chris got married on TLC in 2021. According to Monsters and Critics, Matt and Caryn's engagement will take place in season 25, which debuts next month. LPBW. Jeremy and Audrey support dad Matt at Roloff Farms for pumpkin season, while Tori and Zach skip visiting him again. A lot of people think Jeremy and Audrey Roloff are great for standing by their dad Matt at the pumpkin patch to reunite with him and make more wonderful experiences at the pumpkin festival. They paid another visit to Roloff Farms, inviting their children to discover all the fascinating things. The LPBW stars went back to the location that established the Roloff name. Viewers are overjoyed that Audrey and Jeremy are sticking by their families and carrying on the legacy. They were different from Tori and Zach in that they recognized their dad's efforts and allowed him to spend the weekend with their grandchildren. Followers have been there through all the ups and downs of the family estate. Audrey and Jeremy's decision to choose their family over their differences has pleased fans. Whose words were those? What happened? Tori and Zach Roloff, who starred in LPBW, opened up about their rocky relationship with Matt during the episode. All the familial drama prevented them from resolving their disputes. Nonetheless, there have been indications of reconciliation among the TLC stars recently. In a series of heartwarming social media posts, Tori showed Matt adorable photos of her children. She also told them about the presents Dad had sent for them. So many were hoping that the TLC actress and her husband might make an appearance at Roloff Farms this year. The fans couldn't believe it when Tori and Zach decided to go to the farm again this year. They opted to visit an alternative pumpkin patch. The reality TV personality posted multiple pictures of Josiah, Lila, and Jackson taken at the pack. Tori and Zach were criticized by fans for failing to work on strengthening their relationship with Mstt. Their most recent action won over followers of Jeremy and Tori Roloff. For years, they and Mstt were feuding. However, the little people, big world actors did their utmost to stay out of more trouble. The Roloff farms are a regular destination for the children of Audrey and Jeremy. They agreed to let them spend time with Grandpa so that they could create memories together. This time, the TLC stars followed suit. Just recently, Audrey recounted some heartwarming memories from her recent visit to the family farm. To show their support for Mstt at the Pumpkin Festival, she and her husband brought their children. A video of the LPBW star's children enjoying the patch's many attractions was uploaded online. Her last weekend of pumpkin picking was spent at Roloff Farms, she writes, straight from soccer. In addition, the TLC actress posted a video of herself playing paintball with her daughter Mirabella at the farm's new attraction. While the other children investigated the exhibits, Audrey focused on Jeremy and Jacob. Watching the TLC stars spend quality time with their families was a hit with fans. In order to maintain the tradition for future generations, Mstt Roloff works tirelessly each year. In order to increase the number of visitors, he tries out different things. Therefore, it's wonderful for viewers to witness the reality TV star's children supporting him. Tori and Zach's continued aversion to their grandchildren seeing Grandpa, meanwhile, saddened them. No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments. And stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you.